You walk into a bank, hand them your pay stubs, they run the numbers, and then, congratulations, you're approved for $480,000. You feel validated. You feel ready. But here's the question nobody asks in that moment. Approved by whose math? Because the bank ran exactly one calculation, and it wasn't designed to make sure you can retire or handle an emergency or build actual wealth. It was designed to make sure you make the payment. That's the whole model. Today we're taking three real incomes, $60,000, $100,000, and $175,000, and showing you what the bank approves, what the rules say you should spend, and what actually happens to your money either way. Because the number that will either build your wealth or quietly wreck it is not the one on that approval letter. Before we get into the incomes, we need to talk about what a mortgage actually costs, because your lender's definition and reality's definition are not the same. Property taxes, not fixed. They reset annually based on your home's assessed value. Nationally, the effective rate averages 1.1% per year. In Texas or New Jersey, it's closer to 2%. On a $400,000 home, that's up to $667 a month before a single dollar of principal. Homeowner's insurance. Your lender requires it. Budget $200 to $2,000 a year. In storm-prone states, that number is climbing fast. PMI, private mortgage insurance. Put down less than 20% and your lender charges you a monthly fee to protect themselves, not you. In 2026, that typically runs 0.5% to 1.5% of your loan per year. On a $300,000 loan, that's up to $375 every single month, building you zero equity. Maintenance. Budget 1% of your home's value annually. On a $400,000 home, that's $4,000 a year in reserve. The water heater doesn't care about your budget. Opportunity cost. Every dollar in your down payment is a dollar not compounding in the market. At 7% average annual returns, $80,000 sitting in a house rather than an index fund has a real price, one that grows every year. Your lender calculated none of this. They ran your debt-to-income ratio and handed you a letter. Two guidelines exist to actually protect buyers. The 2836 rule says your total monthly housing payment, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. And all your debt combined should stay under 36%. The 3X rule says your home's purchase price should be no more than 3 times your annual income. Earn $80,000, buy a $240,000 home, not a penny more. Both rules exist because somebody did the math on what it takes to own a home and still build a life. The problem is that in 2026, with a national median home price above $400,000 and a 30-year rate near 6.5%, following these rules perfectly is nearly impossible for the average buyer, and lenders will approve you anyway, enthusiastically. Here's what that actually looks like. Jordan earns $60,000 a year, has been renting, saving, watching the market. Finally decides it's time. Under the 28% rule, Jordan's max monthly payment is $1,400. At 6.5% with 10% down, that buys a home around $185,000. The national median is $404,000. Jordan is looking at less than half of that. So Jordan does what millions of buyers at this income level do, stretches. Finds a $235,000 home, puts 10% down, signs the papers. The real monthly picture, principal and interest, $1,337, property taxes at 1.1%, $215, insurance, $120, PMI, $145, total, $1,817 a month. That's 36% of gross income, already at the absolute ceiling of the 2836 rule, and that's before food, gas, utilities, or a car payment. Jordan's take-home after taxes is about $3,150 a month. After housing, $2,033 is left for everything else. There is no retirement contribution beyond a bare employer match, no emergency fund growing, no investing. Jordan owns a home and is one broken furnace away from a crisis. That PMI alone, $145 a month, will cost Jordan close to $10,000 before hitting 20% equity. $10,000 paid to protect the bank. Priya earns $100,000 a year. Great credit, stable income, no car payment. The bank loves her and approves her for $490,000. Priya decides to be responsible. buys at $385,000, puts 20% down, no PMI, loan at 6.5%, 1,247 month. Property taxes, $353, insurance, $135, total, $2,435 a month, 29% of gross. Looks responsible, follows the rule, but Priya's take-home is about $6,150 a month. After housing, she has $3,715. Sounds fine, until you run the real numbers. Transportation, groceries, utilities, phone, health insurance out of pocket, conservatively $2,200 a month. That leaves Priya with roughly $2,500 of actual breathing room. She is not investing 15% for retirement. She is not building a 6-month emergency fund. She is treading water in a house that looks like financial success from the outside. And here's what she didn't plan for. She put $77,000 into the down payment and kept almost nothing in reserve. 4 months after closing, the HVAC fails. $7,500 goes on a credit card at 22% interest. The bank approved her. The math checked out. The system worked exactly as designed. For the bank. Marcus earns $175,000. Maxes his 401k, no bad debt, patient saver. This is where people assume the math finally gets easy. Under the 3X rule, his home should cost no more than $525,000. His payment ceiling under 28% supports a home around $635,000. For the first time, the rules in the market feel aligned. Except Marcus lives in Austin, Denver, Nashville, cities where desirable neighborhoods now start above $550,000. He follows the rules perfectly, buys at $520,000, 20% down, loan at 6.5%, $2,630 month, property taxes at 1.8%, Texas, $780, insurance, $165, total, $3,575 a month, 24% of gross. Well within the rule. Marcus looks great on paper. But that $104,000 down payment wiped out most of his savings. He kept $18,000 liquid. 2 years later, the roof goes $38,000. Marcus pulls equity through a refinance. Payment goes up. Payoff extends. The asset he bought to build wealth just became a vehicle for more debt. And that $104,000 left invested at 7% for 10 years, nearly $205,000 in compounding. Gone. Not a reason never to buy, but a number your lender will never once put in front of you. So what's the real question before you buy? Not what the bank approves. Not even whether you technically pass the 28% rule. The question is, after every housing cost, mortgage, taxes, insurance, PMI, maintenance reserve, how much is left, and is it enough to keep building wealth? Call it your wealth building margin. Money left after housing that goes toward retirement, an emergency fund, and real investments. If buying reduces that margin to zero or creates new debt, the approval letter is not a green light. It's a trap with your signature on it. The target. Total housing costs should leave you with at least 15 to 20% of your take-home pay for wealth building. Not 5, not 10, 15 to 20. If the math doesn't get you there, you have 3 options. Buy less house than you're approved for. Wait and save more. Or take an honest look at whether the market you're in works for your income. None of those feel great. But neither does realizing in your 50s that the house you bought in your 30s is why you can't stop working. Run the wealth building margin before you run a single Zillow search. That number tells you the truth. If this landed, the next video breaks down exactly how to read a loan estimate the way a lender reads it, and where the real negotiation happens before you ever sign. I'll see you there.